Ich habe MaryLouMcDonald.
Lascan Corla, can I say at the outset that I take the issue of child protection very seriously. There is nothing more important than protecting the safety and well-being of children and responding effectively when they're harmed. Ensuring that children are safe and cared for is a responsibility we all share, no matter who we are, no matter our walk of life. It's something in which I passionately believe as a public representative, as the leader of a political party, but also as a mother who has raised 2 children of her own. Let me also state clearly that I believe strongly in accountability, in people taking responsibility for their actions and in there being real consequences for wrongdoing. Those of us in political and public life who work to bring about real positive and lasting change for ordinary people have a special responsibility and indeed an onus to demonstrate those principles in action, to do our very best to ensure just outcomes and to correct in good faith any shortcomings. That is what the public expects of us. I want to state for the record that Sinn Féin's approach is guided by the welfare of children, governed by robust disciplinary procedures and ensuring that the rules of the party are applied by the book. And I welcome this opportunity to put on the record of the Dáil how my party has responded to very serious matters that have been the subject of public commentary, questioning and concern. And I now, Lascan Corla, propose to address each of these matters in turn and clarify how my party responded in accordance with the standards that I have set out. Michael McMonagle is guilty of vile and egregious offences against children. His actions were despicable, disgusting and criminal. There is no crime more heinous than the abuse and sexual interference with the child. The trauma caused is always deep and it lasts a long time, often a lifetime. He will now face the full weight of the law and his victims will see him punished for what he has done. McMonagle was immediately suspended as a member of Sinn Féin and from his position as press officer when first questioned by the PSNI on these matters in 2021. The PSNI has pursued its investigation to a successful outcome. In our response to the McMonagle case, Sinn Féin acted entirely properly and in accordance with child protection protocols. What we did not know, but was brought to our attention on September the 25th, 2024, by way of a media inquiry, was that 2 of McMonagle's former colleagues and employees of Sinn Féin had provided him with employment references whilst he was suspended and under investigation for these most serious crimes. This represented gross misconduct on the part of Sean McGear and Caolan McGinley. They didn't have the authority to give these references. They did not have the permission of the party to give these references. And had they sought that permission, permission would never have been given. And I, for the life of me, can't understand why anyone, any rational, decent person, would give a reference to somebody under investigation for such crimes. The providing of those references was unacceptable, reprehensible, and quite frankly, unforgivable. I'm furious about what they did. Michelle O'Neill is furious about it, and we're angry for McMonagle's victims. Neither Mr McGear nor Mr McGinley came forward to tell the party that they had given these references. And once we became aware of their conduct on September 25th, the party's disciplinary processes were immediately initiated. Both men resigned as members of Sinn Féin and from their paid employment on Saturday, September 28th. They knew that their actions were sackable offences, so they jumped before they were pushed. They were held accountable for their actions and they faced the consequences of their wrongdoing. They no longer work for Sinn Féin, they are no longer members of this party, and they never again will be. We acted decisively and swiftly because at the heart of all of this are serious crimes against children and the safety of children. The issue surrounding the party HR manager emerged later. In August 2023, following media reports of charges against McMonagle, the British Heart Foundation contacted the Sinn Féin HR manager to verify the identity and email address of the senior press officer who provided the reference. This was not communicated up the chain. It was only on October the 3rd last that we discovered that this had happened. It was a very serious omission and a breach of the party's standards. And I want to take the opportunity on the floor of Ó Donhaill to apologise to both the British Heart Foundation and to young Ó and his family for being dragged into this controversy. The British Heart Foundation does incredible work. Dahi and his family have inspired real change, and we look forward to working with them today and in the future. Last Count Corla, I have now initiated a complete overhaul of our governance procedures to correct issues and shortcomings arising from this case. I am determined that any grey area, any doubt, any lack of clarity that exists in any part of the management of our organisation will be fully audited and clarified. Inter alia, guidelines for the issuing of references and who has the authority to provide them, the issuing of work passes and their withdrawal in cases of suspension, the integration of our child protection protocols and our HR functions, and to clarify, for the avoidance of doubt for any member of staff or any member of the party as regards procedures, what needs to be communicated and flagged and to whom. Count Corla, the resignations from Sinn Féin of Deputies Patricia Ryan and Brian Stanley are in no way related to matters of child protection. And to avoid any confusion or conflation of these issues, I want to address them directly. The resignation of Deputy Patricia Ryan was precipitated simply by a contested selection convention in Kildare South ahead of the forthcoming general election. The circumstances, however, surrounding Deputy Brian Stanley's resignation are very, very serious. The party was first contacted on July 26th by the complainant. The disciplinary committee wrote to the complainant on August the 1st, and on the 2nd of August of this year, the party received a formal complaint against Deputy Stanley. I was informed of this complaint a day later on August the 3rd. The disciplinary committee wrote to Brian Stanley on that same day to provide him with a copy of the complaint. Deputy Stanley had spoken to me at the end of July and had indicated his anxiety that there might be a complaint made against him. He didn't elaborate on the nature of the complaint that he was expecting to be made. I assured Deputy Stanley that any complaint would be handled fairly by the party's procedures. When the formal complaint was made, it was processed through those procedures, which are independent, at arm's length from the party, conducted without prejudice, and overseen and supervised by a practising barrister. The party's complaints processes are confidential and protect the rights of both the complainant and the respondent. No third party is privy to the process. At all stages, Deputy Stanley engaged legal representation and had a solicitor and a barrister present during the inquiry. I was unaware of the details of the complaint until last Saturday night, October 12th, following Deputy Stanley's resignation from Sinn Féin, which had the effect of bringing the party's process to an end. Let me be very clear, Last Count Corla, the complaint made against Deputy Stanley is very serious. The complaint relates to an incident that took place in October 2023 and relates to Deputy Stanley's personal behaviour, leaving the complainant, in her words, traumatised and distressed. In the course of the inquiry into the complaint against Deputy Stanley, he raised a counter-allegation against the complainant, and a very serious one. The allegation caused deep concern, and Deputy Stanley was advised that he should go to the Gardaí. He chose not to. Deputy Stanley's allegation also dates back to the incident of October 2023. And from the time of that incident until the complaint was made, almost a full year, Deputy Stanley has not brought his allegation to the attention of the Gardaí. When our preliminary inquiry was completed and the report furnished to all parties, the head of our disciplinary committee sought legal advice. This was provided to our party chairman and resulted in a referral to An Garda Síochána. Sinn Féin has referred all matters, the complaint and the counter-allegation, to An Garda Síochána on Sunday, October the 13th, to Kevin Street Garda Station in Dublin. We have done so given the very serious complaint and very serious counter-allegation. And let me say this, just to be absolutely clear, Deputy Stanley is responsible for his behaviour and he must account for it. For our part, Sinn Féin responded to a serious complaint and counter-allegation in a correct and a fair manner. Last Councillor, a further issue that's been the subject of public commentary relates to an incident where a Sinn Féin representative sent inappropriate text messages to a 17-year-old. That representative was Senator Niall Ó Donhaill. On the 11th of September 2023, a party councillor received a complaint that an inappropriate message had been sent by Niall Ó Donhaill to a 17-year-old male party member. The young man wanted this to stop and he wanted no further contact to be made to him by Niall Ó Donhaill. On the 12th of September, the chairperson of Belfast Sinn Féin was informed of the complaint and so began the formal party procedure. As part of the party's inquiry at the time, we were informed of a second individual receiving inappropriate text messages from Niall Ó Donhaill. This person was an adult. He was advised of his right to make a formal complaint, but he chose not to. On the 13th of September, in line with our child protection guidelines, given that the complainant was under the age of 18, Niall Ó Donhaill was suspended from the party and the issue was immediately referred to the PSNI and social services in the North to investigate. This was clearly not a matter for any political party to adjudicate on. The PSNI investigates crime, social services supervises safeguarding issues and processes. On the 27th of September, the PSNI informed the party that there was an agreed joint investigation between the PSNI and social services. No formal investigation followed. The PSNI also informed us that the young person was content with the actions taken by the party. There was no finding of illegality and no criminal charges were pursued. However, Niall Ó Donhaill's actions were not acceptable. This view was made clear to Niall Ó Donhaill at a meeting on October the 5th involving the party chair, the chief whip and the chairperson of Belfast Sinn Féin. At that meeting, Niall Ó Donhaill stated that he would be resigning both from the Seanad and the party. As Councillor, Sinn Féin's actions were firstly guided by concern for the young person at the centre of this incident. Secondly, by the need for accountability and consequences for the actions of Niall Ó Donhaill. And he faced those consequences, ones that were proportionate to his unacceptable behaviour. The party had received legal advice against naming Mr Ó Donhaill as there was no criminal charge brought against him. However, the question may be asked and has been asked legitimately as to why Sinn Féin didn't inform the Oireachtas of the circumstances of Niall Ó Donhaill's resignation as a senator. And that's a fair question, and let me answer it. In the summer of 2021, Niall Ó Donhaill was on extended leave from his duties in the Seanad due to very serious mental health issues. Following the complaint, we were advised that Niall Ó Donhaill was again suffering from a mental health crisis and was deemed medically unfit for work by his doctor. As Councillor, we were very worried that publicly naming him would be dangerous to his health. And that is not to make an excuse for his behaviour, but we had very serious concerns for his mental health and his safety. And I still hold some of those concerns to this very day. Ó Donhaill publicly resigned on December 21st last. And on that occasion, I wished him and his family well. I acknowledged his work in the past, and above all, I wished him well in dealing with his very, very significant health challenges. Ó Donhaill was held to account as a result of the procedures in our party, pursuing accountability and consequences. The matter was referred to the PSNI for criminal investigation and the social services as a direct result of the procedures of our party. This case has clearly impacted especially on the young person receiving these unwanted and inappropriate messages. Despite the position that Ó Donhaill held in our party, he's been held to account, and the safety of that young person has been the foremost concern. I accept that these matters have provoked genuine public concern, and it is absolutely fair that legitimate questions are put to the party on how we handle these issues. And I have endeavoured today to bring clarity, because there must be accountability for wrongdoing and consequences for wrongdoing. And I make no apologies for applying Sinn Féin's disciplinary procedures. The procedures are there for a purpose, and they apply to all members, whether a TD, senator, councillor or a grassroots member of the party. They are applied without fear or favour. In each of the incidents that I have referred to today, the Sinn Féin rulebook has been applied, and where appropriate, referrals made to An Garda Síochána, the PSNI and social services. That is the standard that we have implemented. Political organisations are human organisations, and there is often no accounting for the actions and behaviour of individuals. That's true of life, and it's true in politics. I think everyone in this House agrees that child protection and matters of child safety are of the utmost importance. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil say they're not looking to make a political football out of child safety. People will make up their own minds on the sincerity of those statements. But there is one thing that I know for sure. Attacks aren't going to deliver progress, aren't going to get us to where we need to be, won't make one child safer, and won't help any of us to do better. Let me be clear. I will work with purpose to ensure that child protection, safety and well-being are a priority not only for organisations but society at large. And I will work tirelessly with anybody from any party or none who sincerely shares that aim. In Sinn Féin, on my watch, we won't back down from dealing with the most difficult of circumstances and from ensuring accountability. But we will call out political opponents attempting to exploit these issues for electoral advantage. And ladies and gentlemen, your cynicism is matched only by your hypocrisy, which is truly, truly breathtaking. The political cut and thrust, the political cut and thrust can be bruising, and I accept that comes with the territory. But as we now get ready to go to the people, as we ask people for their votes and their trust, we should remember that there is a fundamental responsibility to the children and young people at the centre of these matters. And that responsibility alone should be the priority for all of us.